I'm Catherine Webster, and I'm the Simpson County Extension Agent for 4-H Youth Development. I work for the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment Cooperative Extension Service. And today I have with me Ms. Robin Hollingsworth. Robin is the Director of Simpson County Schools Community Education, and we are excited to be partnering on several projects this summer.
Yes, it's going to be exciting what we're bringing.
Yeah, so lots of things will be going on out of the Extension Office this summer. And first one up in our summer project series is growing herbs, and we're focusing on basil today.
Yes, so Catherine, I've brought some materials today to show our friends who will be viewing the video. Two different ways. We're going to talk about how you can grow basil at home. It's actually a pretty simple plant to grow. It's fairly low maintenance, and yet what you can use in your cooking is amazing flavor that you'll bring to dishes that you probably already are making at home, like spaghettis and different pizzas, that you now will be able to just go out to your yard or into your kitchen windowsill, pick a couple leaves off, and you'll have fresh basil and flavor like you just can't imagine. It's very different from a fresh plant than it is coming dried out of a jar in the store.
So, all right, so tell us what we need to do if we want to grow basil at home.
Okay, well, let's start first with seeds. You know, a lot of people get excited that seeds seem to be pretty fun for kids to work with.
Right.
You can get seed packets just about at any big box retail store or like a Tractor Supply. The most common that you're probably going to find is where it says basil, sweet basil. It's a sweet, that's the most common use.
I know a lot of the plants that I've seen in the stores this time of year, it's all been sweet basil.
Yes, that is the most common and pretty, like I said, pretty easy to grow. And your seed packets are going to cost you anywhere from like $1.59 to $2.
So really inexpensive.
Absolutely. So a couple of different things to know about planting from seeds. If you're planting from seeds, you might want to get like a Jiffy seed soil because it's a lot lighter and fluffier even when it's wet, and that allows the tender new little roots to be able to take inside the soil, plus the new leaves coming up.
All right.
However, today we are using just a general potting mix for both our seeds and our plants. The difference between a potting mix or potting soil, they're kind of somewhat used interchangeably. You can use either one of those in a container. Then you have raised garden bed soil, which just becomes a little bit thicker, a little bit denser. And then you have, and provides nutrients that your usually dirt soil has in the ground. And then you have actual garden soil, which is what gets tilled and mixed in with the ground.
So we don't want to use garden soil. I know when Jason and I did container gardening on the tomatoes earlier in the year, we talked about you really need that potting soil, something that's got some fertilizer in it, getting you started.
Yes, and it's also, and I have some here, I always use a container about this size when I'm getting ready to mix up my soil, because one of the things you would like to do is to have your soil damp. You want to go ahead when you're getting ready to use your soil and put it in whatever pot you're going to use, seeds or a plant. You want to go ahead and get some water mixed in there. It's pretty dry, and if you take the dry soil and put it into your container and then you put your plant, when you water, likely your plant's not going to get enough water through its roots because the soil will absorb all of that first. And once it gets its first good dousing, then you just mix it up a little bit, and you don't want it sopping wet, you don't want to be able to squeeze it and water come out, but you want it nice and damp and still kind of fluffy. And so we just did that. And so then what we're going to do is I'm going to first show seeds, and this is kind of a fun project. You just get a small container, Catherine. This is a great one for kids to do. We're going to make what's called an instant, cheap greenhouse. So you just need a gallon-sized plastic bag, and it doesn't have to be a Ziploc, just something you can close. And a container that'll fit in it. And then we're just going to get some of this damp soil. And you typically, especially when you're doing seeds, you want to take your soil to maybe about 1 inch from the top of whatever container you're using, maybe 2 inches. And then you'll take your seeds and you just kind of space them out, just a few in each of your little pots you're going to do, and you put them in there. Cover them gently. You don't want to pack them in there. You don't want to put them too deep. Then you're going to take your seeds. You're going to put your pot inside your bag. You're going to give it just another little, just like good little water. You want to do it in here so that, you know, the bag actually leaks, or the pot, so it leaks into the bag. And then you're just going to seal it up. And then you're going to put it where it's going to get sunshine. And then you're going to watch it have condensation.
So a windowsill.
It's like a windowsill.
So it needs some sun.
Yeah. And then what will happen, and within just a couple of days, you'll start seeing your seeds sprouting, which will actually sprout quicker than if, and I have another tray down here.
Okay.
This was a tray that I just, it's the top of the cake pan. Literally, you can use any container, Catherine, to grow plants in.
Recycling or reusable, okay.
Yes, so this was a delicious cake at one time.
Okay.
And so we, again, just took the potting mix, put it in here, and then just spread the seeds, covered it up, and I just left this out. I did take a piece of saran wrap over the top of it initially, just to kind of get some condensation. And
so kind of that same concept.
Same concept.
For somebody that's just starting out, we may want to start with some plants in. Okay.
I definitely would recommend plants.
Okay.
So let's move to our plants then,
All
Catherine,
right.
and we'll go ahead and move our greenhouse out of the way.
Okay.
All right, the one thing I want to talk about are pots and different containers that you can use, and the difference between, do we have a drain hole, do we not have a drain hole?
Right.
You can use containers that does not have a drain hole. Some people come across a container, Catherine, that just has got great personality and they really like it. Maybe it's of a material like a ceramic and they just don't know how to get a hole in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even something as simple as a mason jar.
Okay.
So, you know, we can't just drill a hole in this,
Right.
right? So what you'll do is if you have a container that does not have a drain hole, you're just gonna get small river rock. Okay. Now if you have a large, like half wine barrel or something much larger in that size, then you may want to go to a larger size rock.
Okay.
But for something small like we have here, you just want to put a layer of rock. You then can just put your soil on top of it, or if you would like, you could even put a screen, like a window screen, mesh screen, over across the top to keep the soil from going down inside the rocks. And then also your roots won't get down there with it.
And again, that just helps with the drainage.
That's just drainage.
If you don't have those holes in the bottom.
Basil is super easy to grow.
Okay.
It doesn't have to have a lot of water, but it does need water, more water than say rosemary.
Okay.
But it does not like its roots to sit in water. Okay, so the rocks, if you don't have a hole for excess water to drain out, allows that to be higher up.
Okay.
That's all. And so we have a variety of containers. This is really more for if you're going from seeds or you're starting from a smaller pot. These are great though. If you have a small one, you're transitioning to this size because these will actually biodegrade in the ground or in another large pot.
But it looks
Those
like
are
what the basil's in today, it's in a container that's already even bigger than that.
That
so
is
it's ready,
ready
to transplant. Maybe even a little past that.
Yes, these have been ready for a little while now. If we look at them, Catherine, they're kind of leggy, right? Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's go ahead and I'm going to use this pot today, only because I'm planning for my plant to get kind of bushier and bigger, but you don't have to. You can start your basil plant smaller, and a basil plant and most herb plants could just live their life in a pot this size, okay? Or, you know, some of these other size pots. But we're going to use this one today. We have a drain hole, which I used a drill to happen. Some of your containers, you might not even know, but it might have a little plug that just takes a hammer and a screwdriver to pop it out.
Okay.
This one was drilled, so we're just going to go ahead and get our soil in here. When you take a plant out of its pot, you just turn it upside down. You just kind of put it between your fingers. Sometimes if they're root bound, you just got to kind of squeeze the pot. Sometimes you have to get scissors. Now, if you notice, Catherine, sometimes plants start showing a little bit of yellow. This one's kind of more yellow. This one's a little bit greener. Sometimes that happens simply because we're root bound, where it looks like there's a lot of hair in the bottom.
Right.
And that just means this plant long time ago outgrew that particular plant. Well, and there's different schools of thought that you should take scissors and kind of break this up some so then the roots are freer. Some say no, leave it alone because the roots are already established.
Okay.
So I usually just kind of take my finger in up the bottom and just kind of around and I just kind of break it up a little bit.
Okay.
But again, different schools of thought. Someone may not decide they like to do that. You just put it in the center of your pot and sometimes if you can go a little bit deeper than what the plant is, and then you're just going to cover it up. I'm going to get some more soil here.
Okay.
Let's take this little guy out. We'll put him there. And then we're just going to cover him up. And you don't want to pack it real hard, Catherine. You just kind of want to take your fingers and just kind of gently go around it. And again, you want to take it to about 1 inch to the top of the pot.
Okay.
And then we're going to give it some water and get it good and doused here. Your first watering should be a good soaking, but again, make sure you have good drainage.
Okay, so how often are we going to water this? We're keeping it inside and we're keeping it in sunlight. How often do we need to water? Every day? Every couple days?
Basil actually likes to dry out.
Okay.
And or almost dry out, and then come back in and give it a good watering.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not something you're going to water every day.
Okay.
You're going to come, you're going to put your finger in and go, it's kind of damp, Dampish dry? Okay, let's give it a little try.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so we have it planted,
Yes.
and actually, these leaves are ready to harvest, right? It's
Abs-
big enough.
Yes.
If I wanted to use some of this in the recipe I'm going to show, I could do that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So now we have these that we just cut off.
Right.
All of these can get washed now and just
Right.
get pinched off, chopped up, and used in our salad or our pizza or anything, your spritzer tea you made.
And I think we were talking about earlier, the more you chop an herb,
Yes.
the more it releases the oils, and so you get more flavor.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
They start looking a little scary because they start turning almost like a real dark green,
Right,
maybe almost a black
right.
color. But those are the oils coming out of it, and the more
Okay.
you bruise it, the more those
The more
oils come
flavor
out.
you're going to get.
Yes.
Okay.
So
All
I'm
right.
gonna pass those. We'll set those right
Okay.
here. So now this particular is tall and leggy. We don't want tall and leggy. We want smaller and bushier.
Right.
So we're gonna take the main branch and I'm gonna cut it right here. And again, we don't throw these out. This is like gold
really
right up there. Every
great.
one of these leaves, even the babies, can all be used. The more you harvest from it,
Right.
the more leaves it's gonna produce. So there we go. There is our planted basil.
All right, so the Extension Office has a lot of information on how to grow basil, how to grow herbs, how to container garden. We did a lot with tomatoes a little bit earlier in the year. We also have a lot of cooking information. So Robin cut this off. These leaves are all ready to be harvested. We can use those. One plant will produce a lot over a summer.
Oh, it's crazy incredible.
So you don't need a lot of plants of basil. If you have one of this, you could do one of sage, rosemary, whichever herbs that you like, and you don't need a whole lot of room. A lot of people sometimes think that to garden, you have to have a lot of outdoor space. But we're learning that that's not true, and it really takes very little to be able to do the container garden. So I'm going to show you all how to make a berry and basil pizza, and then we're going to top it with a glaze made from balsamic vinegar and honey and some basil. So I have flatbread. That's all that is, just flatbread. I put it on my baking sheet. I will say I have washed my hands. I know I've touched the basil, but I think that's about all I touched. But you do want to wash your hands, warm water, 20 seconds, lots of fun songs you can sing before you start cooking. This is a really simple recipe for all ages, but it's very tasty. So we're going to use fresh strawberries and blackberries. Strawberries have been in season, blackberries will be coming into season midsummer, and so real simple. And we're also, I left out, we're also going to use Havarti cheese slices. And so we're going to put a slice of cheese. I think you were talking about, this is one of your favorite cheeses earlier.
It is. Havarti is a very underused cheese.
Very
in America,
mild
in my
cheese.
opinion.
Very mild cheese.
It is.
All right, so I've put my my cheese slices on there, and then I'm going to take my strawberries, and again, I have washed my hands, and I'm going to put some strawberries on top of each one.
Oh, it's looking scrumptious already.
It is.
Catherine.
It is.
Two favorite foods, cheeses and strawberries.
And yeah, and let's see. We're doing this video, it's June. June is dairy month, so we're getting a little cheese in there. We're also getting some fresh fruits. All right, so we've got strawberries on there. And then we're gonna add blackberries. Okay, my favorite fruit is blackberries. What's yours?
Is it?
Yes.
My favorite fruits, mangoes.
Mangoes, oh, okay.
Mangoes are my favorite.
My son loves mangoes and papayas.
Oh, yeah, dried papaya.
So, all right. Put a little more strawberries than blackberries. So we're gonna get those on there.
You drop those on the tray intentionally so you can
yes,
eat them,
you
didn't
know, I would love to. All right, so we have our blackberries on here. Our strawberries, I think I got it all. Okay, we're gonna put another piece of cheese.
Ooh, it's looking, man,
Yes.
I thought this was looking good before. Now
Yes, it
you
is. So our
picked cream of the crop.
flatbread, our Havarti cheese, fresh fruits, and you know, I will say the recipe, it's called berry and basil pizza. If you really don't like one of these fruits, you could try another one. All right.
What about pineapple?
Well, my daughter was asking me when I was practicing yesterday, was I doing blueberries? And I'm like, well, no, we're doing blackberries and strawberries. All right.
Hey,
So
you
we-
really could change it up with
Yeah, you
different
could.
fruits.
All right, so we have it prepared. It's gonna go in the oven for 7 minutes on 400 degrees, just long enough to melt that cheese. And I just happen to already have one that I've done. I'm gonna pull that out.
Do we get to eat this one?
Yes, we will eat when we're done. I've actually done a few recipes with basil today. All right, so this is what it looks like after 7 minutes. I basically just warmed it long enough to melt the cheese, and then we're gonna add a little bit of fresh basil. And you can kind of maybe be able to see, we're talking about that the edges get dark and that, some may worry that it's going bad, but that's just where I've chopped it up. And so the oils are starting to come out. So you put a little bit of fresh basil on there and kind of do whatever you like to your taste. And then we're gonna top it with a glaze. And this is a combination of honey and balsamic vinegar. And you're just gonna put a little on there.
So this, Catherine, is a pizza that not only is delicious to your taste buds, but is quite friendly to your nose and breathing that beautiful aroma as well, isn't it?
And it's that simple. It's ready to eat. This would be great for breakfast. It would be great for a snack. You could eat it. We had it with supper last night. Something a little different. It could be a dessert. So this is our berry and basil pizza with balsamic vinegar glaze. All right, I also made, this is our mozzarella chicken. It is stuffed, it's got mozzarella in it, it's got roasted cherry tomatoes, and it has fresh basil. I put a basil leaf in there. So I took the chicken breast, I put the cheese, the tomatoes, a basil leaf, I folded it over, and it is marinated in a balsamic vinaigrette dressing. Is what that's marinated in.
Balsamic vinegar is used for so many dishes, and again, it's underused by a lot of households, and the flavor and robust, and it partners beautifully with just about all herbs, really.
So I put the chicken on one side of the baking sheet, and I put the extra tomatoes on the other side. So the tomatoes roasted while the chicken was cooking, and then I added a little bit more of the dressing, and so there's our mozzarella chicken with roasted tomatoes. And then if you need like a fresh summer drink to go with it, this would be our berry and basil spritzer. It's got some sparkling lemon water, some ice, fresh blackberries, a little bit of honey and lime. I put it in the blender. I did strain it to get those seeds out of it, and then you top it with basil. Now, because I've learned I like basil, I even threw a leaf in there in the blender. But if you don't want that flavor to it, then you can just, kind of garnish with it. But again, our berry basil spritzer. So a huge variety of things that we can do with basil, from topping it with our meat and vegetables, to working in our dairy, our breads, our fruits, to making a beverage out of it. I think we've covered all the food groups here. So lots of things that you can do with herbs, lots of ways to cook different herbs. It's very easy to grow herbs regardless of the space that you have outside, so you kind of grow what you like. So you can contact your extension office. We have lots of information on growing, cooking, preserving, lots of different recipes. We are posting those all summer long. As something is coming into season, we're going to be posting recipes around what is in season all summer long. And this is our first. So we're going to partner with community education all summer to do different projects for all ages. And this is something really, it's very easy for kids to do.
Oh, absolutely.
You may need some adults or some older teens when you're in the kitchen cooking, but this is something that really appeals to all ages.
Catherine, in your recipes you have here, think about it. You have your tomatoes and your basil, two things super easy to grow in gardens, correct? And we're hitting the month of June, so we're looking at bridal showers possibly, brunches maybe, in small groups, and people getting together, and what a refreshing drink with the spritzer, and even an appetizer if you got those in the pizza in the force, it'd be a great appetizer.
So some very versatile things that we've done with basil. So, all right, thank you for joining me and helping me do this. So we'll have to see what we can venture into next.
Bon appetit.